Hello, everybody. There we go. I just realized I did not set my sound to come out of my headphones. Which, of all the mistakes I can make going live, I'll take this one. And as you can see, we're going to be playing some Game Boy games today, from dating from the late 1980s when the Game Boy was originally released. Hey everyone, I'm Super Train Station H, autistic gamer and writer, and oh, hey Clackaboy saying happy pre-Thanksgiving. Guess this is as close to Thanksgiving stream as we're gonna get this year. Yeah, I'd say so. If I'd been streaming, if I'd finished my barrier aggression project a couple of weeks earlier, maybe I could have done the Thanksgiving stream I did last year with my old Thanksgiving 1993 VHS tape, which I did not get in trouble for running last year. Hopefully things stay the same, but we will be doing a Christmas stream. I am planning a Christmas stream. It's going to be fun. And yeah, this is my second stream since I returned from my 6-month-ish hiatus, which I think is the longest time I've refrained from streaming while having the equipment and means to stream. But yeah, so we'll be playing some Game Boy games. We'll get right into it, and I'm playing actual cartridges, the same ones you saw on my start screen. Yeah, so our selections today, if you did not see my start screen, are Alleyway here, as well as Super Mario Land. And halfway through Super Mario Land, we're gonna take a break. We're going to play a little, we're going to open up a vintage gaming magazine and read some early, late 80s period coverage of the Game Boy. Then we'll play a little, we'll finish Super Mario Land, play a little Revenge of the Gator, and a little Solar Striker, and I'll call it a stream. I don't plan for this to be more than 3 or 4 hours tops. Yeah, there we go. So, Alleyway. Hey there, Azurest. I see you in chat. Yeah, so I'm playing these actual cartridges. Now, none of these are games that I actually had as a kid, except for Super Mario Land. For those not familiar with my history with the Game Boy, I was actually a Sega kid initially. I really did not. I remember seeing commercials for NES and I didn't really care. I remember commercials for, like, some of the very last commercials for the Atari 2600, pitching it as a low-cost option. Now in chat, Clackaboy is saying, am I thinking of getting the Krispy Kreme Peanuts donuts, or only 1 or 2? Oh, I'll just get 1 or 2. Honestly, a dozen donuts, I don't have anyone to eat them with. Yeah, so a dozen donuts would be like a several month supply of donuts. I might get a couple once or twice a month at the absolute most. But I'll go check them out and get 1 or 2. Now that I live near a place with Krispy Kreme within relative commuting distance, maybe I'll go check it out. Yeah, so initially I did not care about video games. I just knew it was some kind of computer toy you plugged into your TV. I was really like, I didn't dislike video games. I was just kind of ambivalent to the whole idea. But then I saw a commercial. Oh, doggone. I saw a commercial for the first Sonic the Hedgehog with Anita Stokes, president of HAG. And Sonic captured my attention. I was telling my parents about, I saw this commercial for Sonic, and he's on a system called Sega. And at some point later, I don't remember actually asking my parents for it, but I was really excited by it. I was really captivated by it. And at some point later, it was the first time I got my hair braided, actually, at a family friend's house. And my parents gave me a cartridge with the cartridge of the Game Gear version of Sonic the Hedgehog. And I knew that it was something to do with a handheld video game, and I was trying to find where the screen is, where the buttons are. Then my dad handed me the actual Game Gear system, which he had already unpacked and tested and put the batteries in for me. And then I figured out, oh, okay, and I put the cartridge in the system and played it, and it was love from there on in. That was the night my love for video games was born, and the night that I learned to love video games, Sonic the Hedgehog, and handheld gaming. And I knew of Game Gear and Game Boy and like little handheld games. I wasn't very interested in them, frankly. And the reason I knew about them is because I was a child actor. And I remember being in waiting rooms for all these kids that are doing our auditions for different commercials and photo shoots and the like. And a lot of little kids had, their little Game Boys and Game Gears and stuff. And I wasn't very interested in them. But I know my parents... I actually talked about Sonic and Sega to my parents, and they weren't very impressed by the Game Boy because the screen wasn't lit up, and there were a lot of, back then, my dad had a salon, and it was a maybe 2 or 3 hours commuting distance from where we lived, and it was a long trip, and me and my mom and dad would be there all day. And on the drive home, they had to, drive there, drive home, had to have something to keep me busy. And I remember those long nights home playing Game Gear in the back seat of the car. And that's not something you could do with the Game Boy. So the Game Gear, it had the game I was interested in, which was Sonic the Hedgehog. And you could play it in the dark, and it had a full color screen. So that was the one my parents chose for me. It's the one, and I was interested in Nintendo. I remember seeing the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. I never really watched it because I wasn't very interested in Mario. I was interested in watching Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and the Saturday morning ABC version of Sonic the Hedgehog. And it wasn't until 1995, actually, we went to my aunt's house, which is a long flight away, like a cross-country flight away. It was the longest flight I had ever been on. And my aunt worked for an airline, and she got me, when people lost or forgot their belongings, it would stay in the lost and found for a certain period of time, and after that it would be auctioned off to employees once the holding period had ended. So I went over there, and my aunt gave me a Game Boy for me and one so my mom could play, and all the games she had. She had a library. All these games were included. Super Mario Land was definitely the first game I tried, but also Ninja Turtles Fall of the Foot Clan, Tetris, which I didn't really understand at first, and even though the Game Boy could not be played in full, it was not in full color. It was only 4 shades of gray or sort of dark, broccoli green in this case, with that sort of really cheap screen they used on the original model Game Boy. But the very different. I was used to Sonic and Sega to see how Mario games played and how they were different from Sonic the Hedgehog. It was very fascinating to see a different feel for what video games could be and what handheld gaming could be on Nintendo. So even though the graphics weren't as good, I was very fascinated by the Game Boy and how different the games were. And it was funny because all my family, mostly lived significant car rides away from me. But all my local friends tended to have Sega, so they all had Game Gear and Sega Genesis. But all my family members tended to have Nintendo systems. So I was very passively familiar with Nintendo systems from my family played and owned, but all my friends had Sega. So it was really fun trying to, get a feel for how Mario is different from Sonic, how Game Boy is different from Game Gear. And believe it or not, even though it was less advanced in terms of the graphics and the colors of, having only 4 shades of gray, the actual look of the Game Boy device itself, which is part of why I wanted it to actually have the Game Boy system as part of this layout here. It was so fascinating to me because it looked, even compared to Game Gear, even though it was less technologically advanced, I found it to be much more futuristic. I imagined it being like a science fiction prop. It looked more futuristic to me, the device did, than Game Gear. And I had a carry bag for it, Game Boy branded. I still have it somewhere. And I remember carrying it around, running errands and eating at restaurants and stuff with my aunt and my mom. And I felt so cool carrying that thing around. I was such a cool little dork back then. So even in the period of which, it was 95 when I was first playing these games, but I really was appreciating how, I was savoring the moment. It's not one of those things where I just played it and took it for granted, and nowadays I'm looking back on it nostalgically. Even at the time, I really did think of this as like, this is so cool. Now, so this game is 1989. I did not have, the first time I played or really even heard of Alleyway was when the Virtual Console for the Nintendo 3DS started back in 2011. Yeah, I believe it was definitely spring 2011. Take a hit from my invisible water bottle. Yeah, so I was really amazed at just how different games were on the Game Boy. And I remember playing, I remember seeing the commercial for the original Legend of Zelda, seeing commercials for Link to the Past, and I didn't really know much about Zelda at the time, but getting to play Link's Awakening for the first time back then. Because I didn't play Link's Awakening DX. I played the original version on the black and white Game Boy you're seeing right here. And even though, you know, this was a 1989 release, so was Super Mario Land, but in 1995, I didn't think of it, oh, this is an old game. It was new to me, and it was, you know, it was still, Game Boy was a current gen system. It was on the market. It wasn't a retro system or anything like that, even though it had been on the market for about 5 years by the time I was playing it. But the first game I tried was Super Mario Land, and I remember at some point before this, around this time, I guess, actually, I think it might have been the day I got the Game Boy. I guess my mom took me to a drugstore or something, and they had some Game Boy themed chewing gum, and it came with tips, some cards with tips for the games. Hey there, Mecha Kong. Yep, a new history stream. I believe this is the first time since I started VTubing that I've done, you know, the Game Boy 1989 stream. You know, so this is kind of I've done this stream before over a year ago. You know, Mecha Kong, I'm glad you can make it even if you don't get to stay long, but I will be breaking out Electronic Gaming Monthly Issue 1. I don't know if you got to see me cover EGM Issue 1, but it covers the Game Boy. It covers the Game Boy, and I guess different teams are working on different stories, because, as we'll see, there's one story that's talking about there's rumors that a cartridge Nintendo system with a built-in screen is secretly being worked on. And then later on, there's like an actual reveal of the Game Boy itself, just like, oh, here's the system, here are the games. So once we I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna see how far I can get. But once we complete our run of this, I'm gonna play Super Mario Land, which has 4 worlds. So once I beat the second world, we'll do the magazine section. When I beat Super Mario Land, we'll do our midstream break and play a little Revenge of the Gator, and then just take a few swings at Solar Striker. See how far we can get. So it's all gonna be 1989 Game Boy releases today. Well, I mean, Solar Striker has a 1989 copyright date, but technically it did not come out until... It didn't actually release commercially, I believe, until January of 1990. And have you seen Solar Striker before, Mecha Kong, or have you even heard of it? Just out of curiosity. And by the way, if you are busy and can't chat, that's perfectly fine. But as you saw, I was just telling the story of when I first played Game Boy at my aunt's house. And I remember the whole lead up to the trip to my aunt's house, the whole plane ride over, I was so excited to get my Game Boy and to get a Game Boy and a full library of games. Yeah, so Solar Striker is it's a first-party Nintendo release that was sort of contracted out to a third-party developer. And it is one of the only... I believe Solar Striker is the only Nintendo-published vertical shoot-'em-up, a vertical space shooter, published by Nintendo. I believe it was contracted to a third party or to an outside company with oversight by Gunpei Yokoi. And it's kind of funny because I never heard of this game. I found it in a pawn shop, and I just saw it was cartridge only. And I'm like, you know what? Something about this game looks so distinctly generic that I'm attracted to it. There's something charmingly generic about this game. And then I had it in my library, never even play tested, never even tested the cartridge to see if it worked. And only about a year ago did I discover that Solar Striker was actually a Nintendo-published game. and one of the few shoot 'em ups to be released by and published by Nintendo. And you know, I did not realize this until a couple of days ago. It was after my Saturday stream, actually. I did not realize that I have been playing Pokemon. I started my playthrough of Pokemon Red in October of 2024. And not too long after that, I stepped back from streaming to work on the Barrier Aggression project. So because of that, I basically ended up just not... I got up to the front of Rock Cavern. I don't even have half the gym badges. So I had other... so on Saturday, this coming Saturday, the 30th, I believe? Whatever this next coming Saturday is. Because I'm filming this on Wednesday, the 25th of November, 2025. Yeah, so this coming Saturday, I'm going to be getting back into Pokemon Red. And maybe, who knows, maybe I'll do some restream stuff of the, you know, to run through the VODs of my playthrough up to this point. And then break into, you know, my modern gameplay with what I have now. But, Kalakaboy in chat is asking, am I familiar with Final Fantasy Legend? Oh, you, doggone, you got me so excited that I missed the ball. Now, Kalakaboy, Final Fantasy Legend is actually the oldest video game RPG that I've ever played. Yeah, it's actually called the Saga series. I actually have right before I started streaming, I actually downloaded the collection of Saga that includes the Game Boy release of Final Fantasy Legend. I downloaded that for Switch. That was before I had my Analog Pocket. But you got the DX versions. Oh, someone colorized. Oh, someone colorized Saga, the Final Fantasy Legend games, huh? Well, I know for me personally, I'm going to be playing my own childhood copy of Final Fantasy Legend on Analog Pocket, but it's not going to be anytime soon. This might be years in the future. But yeah, I will say I've never played like the original Dragon Quest, the original Final Fantasy, but 1989 game, imagine a full-fledged console tier role-playing game coming out the same year as this on a handheld. So really Final Fantasy Legend is the progenitor of handheld video role-playing games. And it really is sort of a quintessential, like, classic, you know, 8-bit RPG. Brutally difficult. I never beat it as a child. I got about 70 to 75% of the way through the game. I soft-locked myself by saving in a boss room that you can't escape until you beat the boss. And I only had a rudimentary understanding. I think my most recent playthrough, it was the furthest I got was in like about 1999. I got about 75% of the way through Final Fantasy Legend, and then I soft-locked myself, and I never got that far again. But first, man, because I only typically stream once, maybe twice a week at most, my progress through role-playing games is very slow. I began Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. Never made it that far. I finished Paper Mario on N64. That's the only RPG I ever beat on stream. Really the only RPGs I ever even attempted on stream are Pokemon, Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga on Game Boy Advance, and Pokemon Red, and Paper Mario, which I actually did beat back. That Pokemon Red... No, I mean, Paper Mario was back in 2021, I think. Yeah, it was like spring 2021, I did Paper Mario. Paper Mario was fun. I did like a challenge where I spun a wheel to randomly decide which stat I'd upgrade. But a Mecha Kong in chat is saying that they've been streaming a lot and they definitely not attempt a long RPG. No, I mean, like when I was looking forward for years to playing Beyond Good and Evil, and when I did, it nearly killed my stream. And when having 2 or 3 people in chat, like right now, is about as active as my stream typically gets, for me to suddenly have 0 viewers is like, okay, I need to change something up. And I'm like, I've been holding out for too long. I want to do Pokemon. I want to do all the history, and I want to cover all the history and do the period magazine coverage, and go through the manual, retell my story of the first time I played through Pokemon Red. You know, getting it when I got my report card, and my mom took me to the toy store, and I had to choose at the, like, choosing between red and blue at the counter was like as big a choice as for an actual Pokemon trainer as getting to choose their own first starter Pokemon. Oh, doggone. Of course, this is a fun pattern, but of course I immediately botch it. Yeah, but RPGs are a big commitment, and of course I start this big RPG and end up getting myself into a situation where I was not able to beat the game in a timely manner. But starting this Saturday, we will be getting back into Pokemon. And now that, I mean, I could have been, doggone. I could have been a lot further in Pokemon by now, but because I spent so much of the time in the stream in the magazine coverage and like the promotional videotape coverage, which is as important to me, the stream as the gameplay, but now that I covered the majority of that stuff, I feel like I'll be able to focus on the game itself a bit more and get through that. Definitely not by the... But I'd be surprised if I'm still working on Pokemon Red by February. Mechakong saying they don't recall why they chose Red and Gold over the other versions. I just ended up choosing Red. It wasn't because I thought Charizard was cooler or anything than Blastoise. What I did, I remember just trying to... I think at the time, even though... Doggone. Alright. Oh, yeah, I did score that extra ball moments ago. The version where I played the barrier aggression preview is all muted. I believe it was... You know what? I'll have to check on my recording. I'll have to check... So, on the VOD, is it just like... If you look at the VOD on Twitch, because I didn't upload it to YouTube yet... On the VOD on Twitch, is it like muted as in like they blanked out the music? Or is it muted as though like I forgot to like set everything up to... Because when I recorded it, I believe I didn't get any chat feedback at the time. I really don't think anyone was in my chat watching at that point, so I didn't get any feedback on that on the preview section. But if you look on Kalakaboy, if you want to watch the preview video, the introduction to barrier aggression, if you just go on YouTube on the barrier aggression playlist, if you type in ! barrier aggression into chat as a chat command, you will see a link to the playlist. And the first video on there, there's just it's the same thing I showed. Now there's some things on YouTube where on the actual episodes where I do use some third-party music that is allowed to be used on YouTube, but I don't own the rights to it. That might be blocked on Twitch, but I didn't use any copyright. All the music I used during my during the intro video is music I commissioned from a musician specifically for me to use in my own videos. So there's no reason they'd be a copyright mute. Why it would be copyright muted, because that could happen on Twitch where they'll automatically mute the copyrighted music in the VOD and everything. But yeah, I'm sorry about that. And it just so happened that I guess no one was in my chat at the time to watch, so I didn't get any feedback saying that they couldn't hear anything. But I know when I did, doggone, alright, that's game over. That's game over. Alright, so how about I grab my analog pocket, and we'll just switch out the alleyway cartridge for Super Mario Land. There we go. Just drop that bad boy back on the dock. There we go. Alright, here we go. Yeah, so we'll play through the first two worlds, Birabudo and Muda, and then we'll go to our yeah, the joys of working with old tech. Let's see if we could get it to run. Okay, it recognizes the game cartridge. Alright. Looks like I'm gonna have to If I had the money to responsibly spend on that, I would have went for the pre-order, but I wasn't able to. I know there was another pre-order that opened, I think today or something like that, but I wasn't able to get in on that. I'll probably get one eventually, but there are only 2 or 3 games on N64 games that aren't on N64 Online that I would want to use it for. But let's see if it'll. Oh dear. Okay. Super Mario Land. It's never given me this much trouble before. I think this is the first time. This is the first time in over a year that I've booted it up. All right. I'm gonna try this again. All right. There we go. Nice. Okay. And we'll start. Here it is, ground zero. My first. This was my first exposure to Mario. Now it's funny. Now I didn't know that those were supposed to be pipes. I thought they were supposed to be flower pots. Because I mean, even for Game Boy, these graphics are extremely rudimentary. Did I do anything special on Halloween? No. No, I didn't. I didn't even wear my my rainbow tail that I've got, that I wear at conventions. I didn't even use that. I know one year, actually it was like last year, not this. Now, when I first triggered that flower, I thought, oh, well, mushrooms are food, so I want to collect that. But it's bad to step on flowers. I don't want to accidentally step on the flowers. And then when I got home, my brother showed me, no, you collect that, and then you could shoot these, you could shoot balls. Now, I didn't know that. I never played Super Mario Brothers at the time, or I never really played it and knew what was going on, so I didn't understand that these being balls that bounce at 90-degree angles is a strange thing. And my brother had to show me you could press down to go into the pipes. I did not know that that you could do this. Now, unlike Super Mario Brothers, you come up the same pipe that you went down. It's not like a... Yeah, I need a couple of shots to take out the giant scorpions. Yeah. Oh. Hey! It's the can... It plays the can instead of the super... Now, I love how rudimentary the graphics are here, because it's almost like a in-between. It's like a step... It's like barely a step up from Game & Watch to a certain extent. And in fact, this was the first game I tried when I got my Game Boy. Woo! This is so much fun. Now, this is the first game I tried, and then after this I tried Super Mario Land 2, and going from Super Mario Land to Super Mario Land 2 is the first time I really noticed. I didn't think of it as the graphics are better, but I noticed that Mario was bigger and more detailed compared to the first game. Now, Clocker Boy in chat is saying, I could have walked around with that rainbow tail on Halloween and no one think anything. Yeah, I didn't really. I just wanted to. I had a busy day that day. I just wanted to get into bed. Maybe I'll find a I don't know, a Halloween poetry reading at like a cafe or something like that, or something like that. But I'm very shy and slow going with doing social stuff like that, which is a shame. But I guess I should in the space year 2026. I guess perhaps I could afford to open up a bit more. I mean, the fact that my first convention was... I never went to a convention of any kind in my life until 2024. And next year... Oh, doggone. Now, next year, I'm gonna shake things up. I'm gonna go to not one, but 2 different conventions. It's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna double dip. I'm gonna go to 2 different conventions. I'm very excited. And I got to save up my money for my room and travel, of course, and food. Oh, wow, that was close. I almost ran into the back of that enemy. Okay. Okay. We definitely want to have... Yeah, I never beat this game as a kid. In 1999, so I had this game for a few years at that point. The furthest I ever got was... Whew! Yeah, I gotta start going to poetry readings and stuff. It'll be dope. Yeah, but the furthest I ever got in this game was I got to the third world, Muda. And I was so excited that I had beaten the second world of Super Mario Land that I didn't even last that long into the third world. And I think I got a game over in world 3-1 somewhere. But just getting up to the submarine stage that I only read about and heard about was so exciting. Okay, gotta do again on the bonus stage. We may actually need these lives. Nowadays, I've beaten this game every time I've played it on stream without getting a game over. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna need all the lives I can get. Okay. Alright. And I'd love to look up someday, do some research on what the background is on this, like, stereotypical, like, ancient Egypt music. Because, like, somehow, like, even as a kid, I knew... Gotta trigger the trap blocks. There we go. Even as a kid, I was familiar with this as being sort of a cliche ancient Egyptian, like, music. I have no idea what ancient Egyptian music actually sounded like. Yeah, Clagaboy saying you're shy too. Yeah, it's not. You're not alone. Yeah, it's tough out there, but I managed to finally get my tail, literally, so get my tail in gear and go to a convention last year, and I went to that same convention again this year, and I'll go to that convention and one other one this coming year. Woo! Okay. Now, I believe... Yeah, I forgot how to get up there. It's something that I genuinely keep forgetting, so when I uncover it again, it's always like a sincere surprise to me. Yeah, this does not have that sliding momentum, but Kalakaboy in chat is saying they never reused this Egypt theme in any other Mario games unless you count... Well, Super Mario Bros. 2, well, this would have come out after Doki Doki Panic. Yeah, this would have come out after both Super Mario Bros. 2 and Doki Doki Panic, so... Yeah. So... Yeah, my understanding, actually, is that Miyamoto himself was not a fan of the Game Boy project, and he tried to directly appeal to, Hiroshi Yamauchi to, have the project canceled. So he was not a fan that the project went ahead. There we go. Nice. 5,000 points and... Goal! Nice. Yeah, so he did not provide a helping hand. Yeah, Azure is saying written with Egyptian music scales. But the thing is, like, for all I know, like, this isn't based on, like ancient Egyptian music. This could just be like, maybe there was some like stage play or something in like Victorian times that was set in ancient Egypt. Like a stage play about Cleopatra or something, even though you could argue how ancient Cleopatra really is. But, doggone. Nah. Alright, so once we beat this, and look at, so we're in Muda, meaning like a flying saucer. We beamed down from a flying saucer, and we're on some island. So this is meant to be, the islands like Bermuda, as in the Bermuda Triangle, with all its you know, paranormal anomalies. Yeah, it could be something where there was like maybe a play about Cleopatra or something, and because of that, and like the sort of Western popular consciousness, the music from that play is used as a motif for ancient Egypt. Man, we sure are collecting a lot of unnecessary... For some reason, as a kid, I'd have lots of dreams of running across like long, like just plain stages that were nothing but these like bridge platforms with these jumping like fish skeletons. Alright. Yeah, and so since Miyamoto wasn't involved, I guess they kind of had And plus, like, I guess the standards and practices and, like, style guides of what you could and couldn't do with Mario weren't as strict as they would be later on. So, they just sort of went crazy and did whatever they want in this game. Do 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 do. And we just come here. And run straight across here. Oh no, doggone. I ran too far. Run straight across here. And stop. And run straight across here. We're almost on the, we're almost getting our, we're only a few coins away from our 98, 99, oh no, 99, oh no, 99. Yet another fire flower. Am I visiting family for Thanksgiving? Nah, I'm just gonna stay local this year. Yeah, another doggone. Ah. Okay. And since I'm not, I can't even collect. Yeah, I can't even collect the what I believe would have been a fire flower there, if I could. But I can get to the bonus stage. Hopefully, I'm gonna at least get a 1-up between 1 and 3 extra lives, if not an entire. I'm either gonna get between 1 and 3 lives or a Super Ball flower. So no matter what, I'm gonna get ahead through this. Ah, nice. Alright, beam down from another UFO. Yeah, those robots, they could launch their heads as a weapon. Will I enjoy Tofurkey? Not this year. Maybe next year, when I get a bigger apartment. I'll have a proper kitchen, and I can make a little Thanksgiving dinner for myself. I'm not even gonna have like the jelly beans and not even gonna have the jelly beans and popcorn Thanksgiving. Yeah, not even that. And pretzel sticks. I think, what was that? You should know this, Clockboy. What was the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving? It was like jelly beans, popcorn, and pretzel sticks, right? Okay. Yeah, you creep. Yeah, got him. Yeah, I mean, I would. There's no solid plans yet, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens, because I've already moved a couple of times in the history of my stream as it is. Oh yeah, the toast, that's what I forgot. Yeah, jelly beans, pretzel sticks, popcorn, and toast. Of which I think popcorn would have been the only thing that may have actually been eaten at the original historical Thanksgiving, such as it were. Oh, doggone! I got bamboozled on like the very last frame of. I must have gotten hit on the very first frame at which my invincibility from the star power-up expired, because I definitely. The music was still going on my character. Mario was still flashing. So that was really some butt, but we'll survive. And oh goodness, I was only like a frame or two away from getting taken out there. All right, we'll try to make the jump onto that. No, I can't. Okay, we gotta make the jump from down here. All right. Oh yeah, strawberry shakes. That's, you know what? Out of all of that, oh nice. Okay, we did it. I'd say the strawberry shakes is probably the part that required the most genuine talent to create. And you know what? I figured out something recently. Did you ever, like, try to, like, hey, I'll get some fresh blueberries from the supermarket and try to make some, like, blueberry oatmeal or throw some blueberries in my cereal or something, and it just doesn't come out right, it comes out nasty? I didn't know the thing to do. And I figured this out on my own. I didn't even look this up. The problem is, you need to use dried blueberries. You throw the dried blueberries in your cereal, in your oatmeal. Oh yes, it was back seat of the car on the way to Grandma's house in 1999 was the first time I had made it this far, and the only time I had made it this far back in the old days of gameplay. And Yeah, back in the 90s and the decade. Well, actually, no, it wasn't the decade this game came out. It was like the 10th anniversary because this game came out in '89. And I was playing it in '99 at the time I was playing this, and I actually made it to this stage. And I'm like, wow, I actually made it this far. Because you see, you know, it's not that I was bad at video games, just that I was a little kid. And at that age, either, you know, you were playing in the backseat of, you know, the car with, you know, on the way to the supermarket. You get to the supermarket, so you turn off your game, and you don't really think much of it. It's just part of the gameplay. You don't think, oh man, like, we aren't spoiled by things like save batteries and sleep mode at that time. Now, for some reason, in this UFO, underwater UFO parking area, they decided to spell out Mario's name in coins. Doggone! Ah! Okay. But, since we do have the submarine, yeah, we really just have to launch the projectiles more than anything else. The first time I played this, I just rushed straight over to here, shot my way through, and hit the button, which automatically defeats the boss. Alright. Alright, we'll let the this play through as I take a sip from my invisible water bottle. Thank you, Mario! Oh, Daisy! Uh-oh. It was... I mean, you're the worst spy ever. You could have kept the ruse up and dissuaded Mario from continuing, but instead you just immediately exposed your undercover position. Now, Clackaboy is saying, did you know that they recently made a new peanut special which celebrates Mother's Day? Of course not written by Schultz. Oh, that's interesting. So, we're going to pause the game for now. And we're going to switch over to our magazine, which is Electronic Gaming Monthly. Or as it was known in those days... Hold on. Let me move this over a bit. No. There we go. No, okay. I want to scroll this up. There we go. There we go. Now if I could just move this to the side. Ah, perfect. Nice. So, Electronic Gaming Monthly, Issue 1, started as U.S. National Video Game Team's Electronic Gaming Monthly. Now, I think I actually, I did cover a videotape with video game tips and tricks by the U.S. National Video Game Team. Eventually, this U.S. National Video Game Team endorsement sort of went away. And I don't know if it's just an 80s thing, but there is absolutely no explicit distinguishment made between the paid advertisements and the actual, like, regular game coverage. Oh, cool, you can see my mouse here so I could point out specific things. But Nintendo games, our exclusive Nintendo preview, all about Nintendo, Sega, Atari. Now, it's easy to forget that Atari still, and Sega through the Master System, the real serious history of Sega and the home game console market in North America could probably be said they really were able to get a foothold with Genesis, but they had Master System and there was significant coverage of it at the time. Any multi-platform magazine that wasn't now Nintendo Gamers. Now these are the infamous unlicensed Tengen games, and including the unlicensed Tetris. So not only was this version of Tetris, it was not licensed by Nintendo. Like Nintendo, they circumvented Nintendo's lockout chip, Tengen did. And in addition to that, they didn't have the actual rights from the Soviet Union's Board of Import and Export to release Tetris on home game systems. And in fact, to this day, the creator of Tetris, Alexei Pajitnov, he will decline to sign this version of Tetris, and he considers it illegitimate, actually. Which is kind of ironic because among a lot of Tetris fans, this version of the game, which had to be removed from store shelves due to it not being authorized, like Nintendo had the right, they scored the rights to Tetris and not Tengen. And then it was also bootleg in that they released the game, they're releasing the games without paying licensing fees to Nintendo. So it was like double blind unlicensed. So Nintendo did not acknowledge this game. Alexei Pajitnov, who technically did not have personal stakes in the matter at the time, because due to the nature of the Soviet Union, the game was, you know, the game program and the rights to reproduce it were the sort of the collective property of the Soviet authorities. But Tetris, the first game software from the Soviet Union, is an intense battle of wits. Rotate and flip moving geometric blocks into unbroken rows. When you fill up a row, it disappears from the screen and your score rises. Nothing to it, right? Wrong. When you can't find the right way to make the pieces fit together, more blocks tumble down ever faster. You wish you had 10 hands and 10 brains. Play this addictive mind game by yourself or against a friend or against the computer. By yourself against a friend or... Oh yeah, that's right, because I never played this version of Tetris. Yeah, you could play the multiplayer mode against the computer in this version. That's not something you could do in the official Nintendo version. Now, Pac-Man here was actually originally released by Tengen as an officially licensed game, but they released it like with the bypass lock, with their Nintendo lockout chip bypass. And because Tengen's relationship with Nintendo went south, resulted in a lawsuit, Nintendo does not officially acknowledge this version. Eventually, the rights to this version of Pac-Man reverted to Namco, and Namco released it themselves as a late NES release in 1993. And to this very day, Nintendo does not officially acknowledge any version of Pac-Man until 1993, even though the actual game program code is identical to this version of Pac-Man we see here. But a cover story, 89 preview. The early 80s ushered in the video game craze, and despite some lean years in between, 1989 shows no signs of letting up. Led by the overwhelming support from the Nintendo Entertainment System and IBM Compats, electronic gaming has become a popular pastime once again. While 1988 saw an abundance of quality software enter the market, it appears that Oh, doggone. Oh, silly me. Where is... There we go. Yeah, it appears that 1989 will be even more explosive. New game machines that employ technologically advanced hardware and new game companies producing independent cards for the NES hold the promise of explosive new decade for home and arcade video gaming. EGM forecasts the possible winners and losers in this game-by-game preview of 1989. Press start. Take a closer look at Bishu, a company that is taking control of the video game joystick market with great controls of all shape and sizes. Look for new handheld game systems for major players like Nintendo, Tiger, and Konami. Cinemaware makes a move to Nintendo, plus home arcades in the home and controversial action in the coin-op era. Let's see here. Oh yeah, this is one of the tracks I commissioned for Barrier Aggression, actually. Yeah, this was not my era of... Yeah, I was around by then, at this time that this magazine came out, but I definitely was not playing video games. But the shape of things to come, let's read through this here. 1988 was a pivotal year for video and computing gaming. The Nintendo Entertainment System cemented its presence in the hearts and minds of the game-playing public. Entertainment software for the IBM and compatible computers exploded at a ferocious rate. Arcades became even more exciting, with simulators that could reproduce all the excitement of real-life situations while stimulating the senses with machines that could roll and spin at the command of a joystick. Even though the year proved to be positive in most respects, nothing could have prepared for the unrealistic delays in game products, the short supply of hit games like Double Dragon, or the sheer number of game companies that seemingly sprouted overnight. With all the growth and excitement being generated, you might be thinking that electronic gaming has reached the upper limits in terms of both technology and imagination. While many are looking down at the roads they've charted in the last few years, others have been fortunately looking ahead to the future beyond the IBM compatibles and the Nintendo Entertainment System. If all indications are correct, 1989 will be the dream of those visionaries, will be the year the dream of these visionaries come true. Excuse me, hold on, my phone is ringing. Stop that. You don't need to, we'll check that later. Yeah. 3 new game systems have been announced, with industry leader Nintendo pushing back a planned March unveiling of their new Super Famicom game system in Japan. All eyes are turned towards Sega's 16-bit Mega Drive that debuted last November, and the recently announced European Slipstream 16-bit machine from Konix. That ended up not coming out, I believe. A high level of interest remains in the PC Engine as well. The advanced game system that is currently taking Japan by storm has unfortunately failed to court any strong interest from American game makers. Now, the PC Engine by NEC, Nippon Electronics Company, that eventually came out in America as the TurboGrafx 16, and that's something I did play in the early 90s. My parents would rent that from a video game, from a video store, a mom and pop video store. And Mecha Kong in chat is saying a high level of interest. Yeah, it's maybe subject to a debate. But here we go. Here's what's of interest to us today. 1989 will also see a new emphasis on handheld games. Rumors indicate that Nintendo may be leading the way with a mid-range cartridge system that will play a variety of games on a specially developed 2-inch LCD screen. It is so amazing. Actually reading, like, pure speculation, rumors of what would eventually become the Game Boy, written from the standpoint of someone who has never even played like handheld gaming in the sense of the Game Boy did not exist at this point. It was a completely new idea. So it's amazing seeing people talk about like some kind of like Nintendo system with a built-in screen, cartridge-based. What's it going to be like? Is it going to be a tabletop thing? Because that's probably the closest to what a lot of people might have been imagining at the time. Through all of it, you can count on Electronic Gaming Monthly to bring you the hottest new developments, reviews of all the latest titles, both good and bad, and a keen insight on what will be happening in the months to come. Because no matter what the future holds for video and computer gaming, as long as there are people reaching out for the ultimate play experience, there will be pages between these covers and grins on the faces of this editor and you. Have fun with your games, this mag, and remember, don't take life too serious. Yeah, so this is an obvious ad. Rambo, WrestleMania, Airwolf. Now these are all, you see they proudly display the Nintendo seal of quality, as opposed to, if we scroll up a bit, we'll see that a Tengen doesn't have that seal of quality on there. Because only licensees could use the seal of quality on their in their promotional material. The only of these games I actually played myself. Actually, I've never played any of these games myself, never mind. For some reason I thought Bigfoot was on here somewhere. That's a game I actually played on NES. I never played any of those games. So Mega Man 2. Mega Man is back with a vengeance. That monster-bashing superhero is ready for another action-packed adventure against some of the most devious creatures that Nintendo has ever cooked up. You know, look, the fact that they call NES the Nintendo with that definitive article there. Yeah, and Mecha Kong in chat is saying that seal of quality taught me a lesson early in life not to believe companies. Maybe hard, yeah, many horrid games got that stamp. But I like how they describe, well, aside from using definitive article the Nintendo to describe the NES, but a monster bashing? Like, I never thought of Mega Man as fighting, like, monsters. I think of him as fighting robots, right? So, yeah, it's Guerrilla War, Vindicators, Strider, I've never played. Hydlide, now this is a game that Angry Video Game Nerd reviewed, and he's rightfully reviewing the NES version as it in the context of someone who would have played this in America at the time this came out. Like, by the time this game came out, I believe Dragon Quest was already out in North America, as well as the original Final Fantasy. And so in that context, this game was, like, Hydlide was originally a PC game in Japan, and one of the first, like computer role-playing games in Japan. And in that context, like, even the Famicom version would have made a little sense, but by the time this game came out in North America, this was hideously outdated at best. Now, Lord of the Sword, Poseidon Wars 3D, never played any of these games. Now, FCI, this is actually the company that released Hydlide. They don't have any ads for it here. And this logo here with this little, looks like an unknown W, this is actually, I believe, the logo for a major Japanese broadcasting company. And so FCI is actually sort of a sub-brand of theirs. Now, press start. This is a segment that came along, that stuck around in EGM for a long time, even by the period in the later 90s when I was actually reading it. But this is very clearly a sponsorship for Bishu joysticks, but there is absolutely nothing explicitly denotating that this is a paid advertisement. I have to just sort of be smart and understand that this is obviously like a paid sponsorship. So I don't know if the Federal Trade Commission in the US's standards didn't demand that, or if this is just something EGM was doing at the time because it was kind of a new thing. And even by like the early 90s, I remember ads being explicitly demarcated. But here we go. The power of the arcades in the palm of your hands. With arcade and home video games experiencing tremendous growth, it's only natural that other forms of electronic gaming feel the effects as well. Computer gaming has exploded. Now, one thing important to notice at the time is that early on, EGM focused on home console games and handheld dedicated game systems. But they also covered personal computer gaming at this time. Very early on, within the first dozen episodes, I think they actually officially stated, hey, we're focusing only on like dedicated game systems. We're gonna leave PC gaming as its own thing. And now, computer gaming has exploded with the penetration of the MS-DOS machines in home and business markets. Now, Nintendo and other big guns from these fields preparing for their next offensive, handheld games. While companies like Tiger have held a tight grip on this small segment of electronic gaming with low-priced but highly playable LCD titles, veteran names like Konami are banking on the success that the handhelds are generating. Nintendo, the company that got its start in consumer video games with a diversified line of multi-screen handhelds, is so confident that standalones are the wave of the future that they are rumored to be releasing a and by standalones they mean like standalone handheld games, not like something like Game & Watch where each game was its own self-contained unit unto itself. So in standalone can have a few different meanings in this context, but yeah, Nintendo is so confident that standalones are the wave of the future that they are rumored to be releasing a portable LCD system that will play game cartridges on a special 2x2-inch screen. Novel concept, eh? Yeah, novel concept, eh? This is genuinely a completely new idea. The main unit is expected to sell for around $70, and that's not, of course, adjusted for, more than 30 years of, currency inflation, while the plug-in carts will retail for around $20. This pricing puts the Nintendo unit in a slightly better position than the last wholly contained game system, the Vectrex, alright? The freaking Vectrex. Like, even by, from me here, I think of Vectrex as ancient history by this point. But the idea of a self-contained, an interchangeable cartridge video game system with a built-in screen that doesn't need to connect to a television to display its games has such a limited sample size to draw from that the closest thing that they could relate it to is the Vectrex. Alright? Wow. Wow, what a world. Now, will handhelds eclipse the home game systems as the gaming format of choice? Give it about 30 years when mobile phones, modern smartphones hit the scene, and arguably they will. But will the new Nintendo cartridge system catch on like the NES? Will other third-party companies start developing carts for these next-generation systems? All we could say for now is, we'll keep you informed. Now, imagine just like the fact that they don't even have a clear point of reference to describe these rumors of what ended up becoming the Game Boy. Now, this is another paid ad here. Yeah, for like some kind of yeah, this is very clearly like a console. Well, it's not a this is very clearly a arcade cabinetized NES. Say no to drugs. Yeah, this is for Narc, which I never played. Cinema Wave and the Nintendo Connection. An ad for Road Warrior. At least this is explicitly an ad. Some of these articles that are very clearly paid advertisements. Yeah, okay. Yeah, a game giveaway. I think, yeah, the deadline for entries is July 31st, 1989. Yeah, I think we're a little late to be able to participate in the sweepstakes. Yeah, an ad for Hard Drivin'. This is one of those games that is kind of arguably the forerunner to Club Drive on the Atari Jaguar. Yeah, Race Drive. Yeah, so yeah, I don't want to. We'll skip straight. We'll sort of breeze through here and get to the. And now it's funny because there's all this speculative uncertainty about, oh, there's rumors of this handheld game system from Nintendo. It'll have interchangeable cartridges and the like. But as we'll find later, there's actually explicit coverage of the Game Boy, which makes me think that earlier part was covered by, like, was written earlier on, and then like the actual coverage of the Game Boy and photographs of the system, and I think some of the screenshots of the games is something that was like a, something they were squeezed in right before maybe this ad came out. So we've got some Master System coverage with like Phantasy Star. Oh no, this is actually an ad. Yeah, this is an ad right here, Phantasy Star. A game I've never played. Yeah, From Russia with Love, Tetris. This is the Tengen version of Tetris, actually. The Mark of Excellence. To identify those games which display superior design, the U.S. National Video Game U.S. National Video Game Team. I wonder what the history of this organization is. Now here's another ad. Now these joysticks here, these look like joysticks for like the kind of joysticks you use with a lot of British micro home computers. Because in the UK in the 80s and early 90s, really up until the Master System, home gaming in the UK was really more revolving around the home computer scene as opposed to dedicated cartridge game systems. Yeah, so coverage of this is like, this here is like the equivalent of like if, PlayStation 6 and, Xbox 5, whatever they want to call it, were announced. PC Engine with CD-ROM adapter. Nintendo Super Famicom. Now look here. Here we go. This is what we want to see. Nintendo's handheld Game Boy. Nintendo's Game Boy handheld system. Nintendo has had few problems reviving the home game system with their the home game industry with their Nintendo Entertainment System. Now Nintendo is banking on a new interchangeable cartridge system that will play a variety of arcade-style games in a self-contained handheld unit. Nintendo's next great game system, called Game Boy, will have the capability to play a number of arcade-style games. Among the first games being offered is Super Mario Land, a Super Mario spin-off loaded with hidden items and plenty of worlds to explore, and Alleyway, we played that earlier, an Arkanoid-ish wall breaker. The unit itself is shaped sort of like a Walkman and comes with a standard Nintendo flat pad, 2 buttons and start and select buttons built into the surface of the system. It uses dot matrix images to create the different game screens on its green monitor. The unit is expected to retail for $70 with game carts coming in at around $20. Hey there, Reliet in chat. They're saying that their debut stream was a lot of fun. I said I'd be, maybe you misinterpreted something I said. I was pretty forward. I'd be back on Saturday, on Tuesday, and here I am. But I will be back on Saturday. I just realized I've been playing Pokemon Red for over a year at this point. Over an actual year. And the funny, interesting thing here is you can tell that from these lines pointing to things, they probably photocopied this off of a Nintendo pamphlet showing the different points, like the power indicator light, the game screen, the D-pad, start and select A and B, the speaker, and the like. But yep, I think they just barely managed to squeeze this in, because earlier in this issue, they're talking about, like, oh, there's rumors of a self-contained cartridge-based handheld system, something like the Vectrex, which, if you don't know the Vectrex, that was a early 80s 8-bit system. Shout out to Retro Mags for preserving this. And, yeah, so with that, I think it's time to get back to the game itself. Back to Super Mario Land. The Super Mario spin-off they talked about. We'll play through Worlds 3 and 4. Maybe take a single swing at... Yeah, take a singular... Oh, doggone. Yeah, take a swing at, Yeah, that's what happens when you start the game halfway through after putting it down for a few minutes. My reflexes kind of... The fact that I'm like in the halfway point through this game, which I never even beat as a kid. The furthest I got this far once in the 1990s. But yeah, I'm glad you had a good first stream, Reliet. I hope you're So I forgot to mention, you said you were using a PNG tuber while you were waiting for your 2D model to be completed. So are you using VitoTuber Mini? Because that's the only PNG tuber software I'm familiar with. Now, okay. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Oh, I don't want to risk jumping down there. It feels like a license to get bamboozled. Hey. There we go. I don't know why I said hey when I jumped. That was weird. Woo! Now, really, oh, look at that little running guy. Look at that little crazy guy. Woo! The way they're just running like they're trying to catch the F train, in Brooklyn. Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh. Woo! That was close. Okay. Now, Reliet's saying, watching me play Super Mario Land is making me nostalgic for age streams. Well. If anyone is new to my my streams, they could check out my I guess, do I have my CloudBot on? That should have worked. This whole time I did not have CloudBot on. I'm glad no one tried to use any commands. All right. Why is CloudBot... Oh, okay. I turned it... Now it should work. There we go. Yeah, if anyone's interested in the salad days of, my older streams, you could go check them out there. And a lot of this, most of, almost, about, at least, I'd say I'd be shocked if less than 90% of my streams, the overwhelming majority of my streams are preserved on as VODs, but a lot of them are not, are only available on that playlist. A lot of them are not available publicly. I want to go and deprivatize a lot of, well, a lot of those videos are unlisted and only available on the stream, on the playlist of my older streams. But lately, when I upload them, I make them public as well. Oh, doggone! Ah, okay. Yeah, what a fierce gauntlet of. Oh yeah, those guys can phase through the blockade there. Ooh, that was very close. Hey there. Hold on. Wow. Orgy and Anarchy. Okay. I'm just trying to make sure I was reading that right, because it's like, if that was not what I thought it was going to be, I was, didn't want to misread that wrong. If I believe I said that correctly, and, yeah, hey there. Yeah, yeah, it's funny, I guess, oh, doggone. Yeah, most of my, viewers are, not from the, furry community. I actually started out as a camtuber. If you type in, oh, doggone, if you type on my, okay, it's Tibetan, alright, I had, it's the kind of, it's one of those things that can mean something in one language that it doesn't in another, but, yeah, I imagine, especially if you're operating a lot in the furry scene, I'd imagine, some people might be more eager to take that as in a way you may not have intended. But I'm a, yeah, I'm not a, I'd consider myself, I mean, I'd let my mom watch my stream. I'm the furry you could, take home to, I'm the furry that would probably, make your Sunday school teacher, like I'd show my VODs to my Sunday school teacher from back in the day. I tend to keep it like PG-13, R at the hardest. I'm not, yeah, I'm not very, what you see is what you get. But I started actually as a camtuber, and I 2 streams ago, back in May, I actually took a break of several months. I went back to, I can press a button on my stream right now and appear on camera. I'm perfectly ready to. But, I'm sort of out of character now, such as it were, but I have some interesting lore where, yeah, so my, Lunarian age here, and, you know, in Camtuber age, just me in front of my webcam, are simultaneously existing separate oh, doggone, I did not, yeah, I could beat Super Mario Land on demand at this point, but it has been a while since I've done it. This is the first time I played Super Mario Land in over a year. You missed it, so, you actually, if you had been here a few minutes earlier, I like to read period coverage of the games that I play, and we were reading, some 1989 coverage about rumors, just rumors, oh, doggone, rumors of a game system, by Nintendo that would have a self-contained screen and have interchangeable cartridges. So it's like coverage of the Game Boy that's like actually describing it as like just a rumor and speculating that this could be something like the Vectrex by, I believe, Milton Bradley came out with the Vectrex initially. Yeah, and Lunarians are my rabbit-eared dogman species, or you know, dogman in the case of Lunarian H here. He's kind of a true Sona. If you've ever seen me on camera, it's just me without the floppy ears and the snout and the fur. Yeah, Rito Bandito, who's actually, I believe they're going to be a guest of honor at a major convention in a number of months. Actually, did this avatar for me. Most folk think that you're a Lombax. What is your Sona? What is your character? And oh, doggone, I am out of the zone. It has been a year since I've played this, and this is one of the tougher levels of the game as we get closer to the end. The main sort of feature of my species is that they have these symbiotic worms that live on their tails and act as an extra grasping limb. Though Lunarian H, or at least the version of him that is streaming here, you know, that I'm out of character right now, obviously. I'm just sort of being forward about it. But in character, this Lunarian H does not have a door worm, which is kind of a disability for him, because other Lunarians could use their door worms to reach up high up things on shelves and things like that. So if there's like maybe a jar of cookies that you know, a Lunarian parent would not want their kid to have till after dinner, they might put it up high so only someone with a door worm can get to it, because Lunarian kids do not get a door worm until around age like 11 to 14 or so is when they start attracting door worms. So it's sort of a coming age thing to get paired up with your first door worm when you're a little kid. But this Lunarian H of Redemption Center 5 does not have one. I haven't been working on it, but if you type in !lore, it'll take you to a playlist of the story so far of my stream. I have not enacted anything out in a long time, because what I do is... Oh, doggone, I fell. I couldn't get to the... Oh, it's a Jakai from... Oh, Slightly Damned. Slightly Damned. Now, that takes me back. I have not read Slightly Damned since, like... 2006? It's been a few years. I realize that is, yeah, closing in on 20 years since I've read Slightly Damned. You know, I think I used to be, like, on the periphery of the friend group of the creator of Slightly Damned. I used to be on the periphery of that person's, that artist's, like, real-life friend group. But I never, like, knew them. I might have hung out with them once, like, back in the day. Oh, doggone. I'm glad I got a bunch of extra lives earlier on in the game, because I'm definitely using... Oh, man! I'm using these lives up left and right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, my son has got big ears too. Big floppy rabbit ears. Which are about... It's kind of funny, because in terms of what it would feel like to have ears this big and this heavy, I have a very good sense of what that would feel like, because this is the hair. I have long locks in real life. Yeah, this is not just something for my son. I actually have this hair in real life, so... In terms of the weight of it and the length of it and how it moves in relation to, you know, my body, I'd have a good sense of what that would feel like. And I'd really feel like actually having I mean, there's lots of art of Lunarian H. You'll see it on my break screen. When I go to my midstream break, there's art of Lunarian H with my, Oh, that was a mean trap. That was a mean trap right there. We are already down to single digits in terms of lives already, okay? We're not doing that great. Okay. We're getting through this little gauntlet here first try. Watch. Okay, first try. We did it. We did it. As someone who used to have long hair, they kind of get it. Yeah, and with my hair texture, it is... Oh my goodness! We're gonna have to do that again. We're gonna have to do that again. Okay. You're not getting bamboozled by that again. But in terms of, like, my hair texture, because of the way, you know, it's done, it's very, spongy. So when I, wash my hair, my head is... I probably add, like, an extra pound or two in water weight. I mean, water weight could mean in a totally different sense than what water weight usually means, just like the food and water that is currently in your digestive system. Okay. Okay. We have all the time we need to, collect the mushroom. There we go. Yeah, hey, I now have 10 group viewers. And of course, whether it's one viewer or 100, which, you know, I've had, I think with a raid once I had 100 viewers. I always just, or even if it's no one, I always just, oh my gosh, it's, this guy. It's Bumholian the Third, or whatever his name is. Alright, there's no way I'm jumping over that. Just run over, take the hit, run over, hit the switch, and go on to the last world. Yeah, but, so, in my stream, you're going to... I only just started streaming again. You're gonna see... I like to have a lot of historical, like, coverage, so I'll read a game, I'll read magazines about a game I'm playing, read magazines from the year that game came out, and read period coverage of when the games came out. Okay, and your son is Mikala and has his own history and lore? Alright, that's cool. Have you tried, like, I have lore, like, my universe has lore. I have, like, a novel-length manuscript going back to, like, 1910 and the universe of my character's setting. And my character was born in the 1980s of his world. And Reliet is saying, okay, Orgian is actually a buddy of theirs. Okay, cool. Alright, so you know Reliet. Reliet's been a regular in my stream for a number of years. I think they first wandered in when I was playing Mario 64. And when I played Mario 64 on stream, this is back in, I think, 2020, it was the first time I had played through the N64 version of Mario 64. It's the first time I played through that game since, like, 97, 98. So there are a lot of things in the game that were genuinely, like, new to me, that I had genuinely forgotten about. Because... Alright. Yeah, you undead weird... Yeah, these characters are, I believe, those enemies are based on, vampires from, traditional, Chinese mythology. Yeah, this level is based on, ancient China, if you cannot tell somehow. Yeah, the music here is definitely, somehow, I don't know how, but, like, this music is definitely playing into, it's the music that makes you think of, like, ancient China somehow. And, Ray is a good buddy of theirs. Alright, well, I'm glad to meet you. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, I was hearing that your buddy had their debut stream recently, and yeah, I wasn't able to make it for that, but hold on. Yeah, I'm definitely wishing them an awesome streaming career, and Bill Preston. Now, Jiangxi, the hopping vampire. Am I saying that correctly? Because I know Chinese, like, I only speak English, and I'm learning Tokipona. And, I know Chinese is one of those, like, tonal languages, which is very different from the way that, like, Romance languages are spoken. Yeah, so it's very difficult for me, having no background on, you know, on Cantonese or Mandarin, how to utter that correctly, or at least in a... Oh, doggone, I think I was right near the end, too. I think I was right near the end. Okay. Boing. Okay. No. Okay. Yeah, we got him. We got him. Okay, we got the mushroom. Okay, let's just keep moving. Oh, so if you don't mind sharing, what is your first language? What is your first language? I'm just out of curiosity. Because I don't know anything about... So is Tibetan a tonal language? With, like, where, like, the tone, like is important? And when I say tone, I don't mean, like, angry or sad. I mean something very different that's hard to express if you're not familiar with, like, linguistics. Take a hit from my invisible water bottle. Yeah, the only language I learned, I went through my phase in middle school, so they're saying in chat that they speak English primarily, though Tibetan, so much as it relates to their faith. Alright, because I know, because I have family members who have ambitions of visiting Tibet, but I don't know if they are learning the language at all. I've never been. The only countries I've been to are the United States and England, and which you know, going to England. Oh, doggone! I have 9 lives left, but am I familiar with Overwatch at all? I know that it exists. I know it's like a shooter where I believe the characters have like sort of specialized roles. I'm not very well versed in it or anything. But I understand it's not like Overwatch. I mean, not like, I understand that it's not like, Fortnite where, that little snake guy's so cute. I feel sorry having to kill those guys. Alright. Oh yeah, I forgot, you cannot scroll backwards in this game, so. Yeah, this game has, ratchet scrolling. Or, horizontal ratchet scrolling is one thing. But when you're ratchet scrolling in a vertical game where you're going upwards, I'm like, alright, that's just repugnant. When you, like, fall, like, when you know that there's a platform just off screen, but because it's scrolled off screen, it just no longer exists in the character's universe. Okay. Now, am I saying this right? In chat. Okay. Nyangpa Buddhist? Did I say that right? Yeah, like my tongue is not, like, my tongue cannot do a lot of languages justice. Like, even if it's a Romance language with some with some overlap with English, I probably barely have the confidence to speak Tokipona, which is a constructed micro language that allegedly you could learn in just like a day, allegedly, which I'm sure is BS. What I say is BS because I'm in Nying Mapa. Am I saying it right now? And boom. Okay. We have, you know, it's kind of funny. This is the last stage where having the Super Ball actually matters, because the next stage is going to be an airplane stage. It's a auto-scrolling horizontal shooter stage. So at that point, close enough. All right. Well, I'm glad. You know, I attempted it with respect. You know, but okay. So, okay. No! Doggone! Yeah, so much for the bonus, or so much for the last opportunity to get to the bonus stage there. Alright, time for the final stage of the game! Yeah! We're just gonna tear things up and go... Infinite ammo, by the way, so, and those birds are just called chicken. They're literally just called chickens in the manual. Yeah, a lot of these names are not really translated. Like, yeah, an yeah, aeromorph sighting. We've got some anthropomorphic, living airplanes here. Yeah, Alright, I'll catch up with chat, once I beat the stage, probably, because... Oh, no! Okay. Now, ironically, this stage is pretty easy. Now that I said that, watch me start taking hits. Hey, it doesn't matter. This is the invincibility star is the only way to actually destroy these floating glitter obstacles. If you want to odds majors and say Hara Hara Mahadev. Now, is that E meant to be accented? Or is it like Dave, or is Dave correct? Alright. Alright. This part, the first time I played through this stage, this part. Now, mind you, at this point, oh, I pronounced it perfectly. Okay, cool. Yeah, scrolling through these, there are a lot of I never got to this part as a kid. This would be like hardcore. I don't know why there's spikes facing backwards in a part of the stage that you cannot possibly encounter, but they are traps built in here. There's a point where look at those big those cartoon fists coming out of the pipes. Uh-oh, it's I believe this boss's name is Biokinton. Yeah, no one's ever seen his true form because he hides inside his cloud because he's so shy. Okay. And oh. Okay, actually, I guess I could pause now that I'm up to the second to final boss, but I'd like to catch up and chat with Belle. So that's all you need to know. Some of the characters are Chinese, and when she used one of her abilities, it's translated to freeze, don't move, but the way she says it in Chinese makes it sound like she's saying the equivalent of freeze, don't shower, because of the tonality. Okay. Bill, do you speak Chinese, or are you learning Chinese? And Orjay in chat is saying, like, actually, I say it like they do to their guru. Okay. Alright, time for the final boss. Tatanga, the mysterious spaceman. His ship. I forgot his ship has a name. It's a Japanese name with several syllables, but I forgot. But he does not come to actually directly attack me, so I only have to pay attention to his ammo. So he does not actually come to directly attack me like Biokinton does. This, yeah, Tatanga actually gets downgraded to a mere world boss in Super Mario Land 2. Oh, Daisy! Daisy! Thank you, Mario! Heart. Your quest is over! Then, yeah, you know, Oscar-winning voice acting right there. Hara Hara Mandev is the phrase of the Hindu faith, say to honor Shiva. Oh, okay. But Bill is saying, no, they only know a few phrases from co-workers and that have taught and mostly swears. No, so producer, Gunpei G. Yokoi, so Gunpei Yokoi is the producer. Yeah, this is, Shigeru Miyamoto has nothing to do with this game. Apparently, presumably because Miyamoto himself was programmer M. Yamamoto. Yeah, so apparently Miyamoto was kind of an enemy of the Game Boy project and tried to appeal to Mr. Yamauchi to have it actually canceled. Once the credits roll, I'm actually going to step away from the game just for about 3 minutes to get up and stretch. We'll play a single round of yeah, I think we've gotten far enough along. So we'll play a single round of Revenge of the Gator and a single round of Solar Striker, and then I'll call the stream there. But if those who aren't going to join me for the back half of the stream, it's just going to be I'm just going to be tying it up. I meant for this to be a quick stream to you know, just have I just wanted to do a Game Boy 1989 stream, all 1989 copyright date games. And that's credits. T-H-A. Oh, the end. I thought I was going to say thank you. Yeah. So this is one of those games that has a new game plus. So 225,520 points. But for now, why don't I jump to my break screen? I'll be back in 3 minutes. This will be a nice quick break. And when I get back, we'll go into the back half of the stream. And also, I'm gonna run an ad so that it doesn't interrupt the gameplay. So I'll be back in a little while. Hey everyone, I'm back. Alright. Hey, so if anyone is familiar with Thomas or just British railroading, yeah, that is the Stepney that I'm taking a picture of there. But let's get back to, hey, the game. But we're gonna pop. Now I am playing this with actual cartridges, so I gotta take my system off the screen. I'm gonna swap out for. Now this is the first time. Yeah, this might be the first time in an actual full calendar year. Actually, we're gonna drop this in the dock so you can hear the title music when I start this up. Okay. There we go. There we go. Yeah, so this is by HAL. And this is the same sort of game engine, as it were, that would later be used for Kirby's Pinball Land in 1993, and then later for Pokemon Pinball in 1998. Yeah, this is the same physics engine, the same, like, sort of programming. I don't know if it's technically would be called an engine, such as it were. But a Kalaka Boy is saying that after watching my entire Barrier Aggression series, they feel like I deserve some kind of YouTube award for my achievement. Well, I mean, I know there's like a silver and gold play button you can get. I don't know if they have like a styrofoam play button for getting almost a dozen views on some of the videos. But I'm appreciate the patronage of those who have watched it. If anyone's is interested in what I'm talking about, who's unfamiliar with if I type in is that okay? I thought that was a chat command that would bring up the link to the playlist. I guess not. But if you look in my info page and look at. But as you can see, with the multi-tiered table, the many mini games, you can definitely see the very clear DNA of Kirby's Pinball Land and later Pokemon Pinball. I'm actually going to be playing Pokemon Pinball on Saturday. I play Pokemon Pinball as my warm-up game for my Pokemon Red sessions. And wow, and I just realized I have not played. No, I think I played Pokemon Red. I think I might have done a single Pokemon stream in this entire calendar year. And I started my Pokemon playthrough in like October of 2024, so it's been over a year. It would be fascinating if Jill made a reaction video. Yeah, it would be fascinating, wouldn't it? If Jill is smarter, if Jill's clever or smart or shrewd, she should pretend that she hasn't seen my videos. Because if she, like, and if she acknowledges my videos and does not acknowledge the very serious wrongdoing that I discuss in the last several of those videos of the series, then I'm going to eventually discuss the serious wrongdoing that instigated the project. Oh, by the way, Jill, I'm talking about Jill Escher, the president of the National Council on Severe Autism, which, I know it's very popular within the neurodiversity community to describe Autism Speaks as a hate group. I've always been incredibly cautious about using that language, no matter how many serialized screw-ups, missteps, bad choices, harmful things they've, promoted or indirectly validated. I've been very cautious about calling Autism Speaks a hate group. But when it comes to the National Council on Severe Autism, in regards to the specific things I cover in my video series on YouTube, I find it reasonable to discuss at what point does it become reasonable to discuss this group in the context of being a hate group when they explicitly promote negativity towards specified, people in a, in a marginalized group, which is the definition of a hate group. It is very specifically promoting dislike and distrust towards autistic people outside of what they would describe as the severe category. And I'm not saying that because I'm mad that they don't embrace the neurodiversity paradigm. Like, I don't care that they don't embrace the neurodiversity paradigm. But this group is so extreme that they consider neurodiversity to be the idea that high-functioning autism is clinically or scientifically valid. And that's an inherently illegitimate discussion for debate. They discuss high-functioning autism as though it's the personal theory or opinion that some teenage online activists came up with so that they could self-diagnose them with autism, and that's literally just objectively not true. And they would take me saying that as me trying to validate or legitimize self-diagnosis of autism. And it's like, no, I don't even discuss whether my personal feelings towards self-diagnosis in any sense in my video series. Whether I supported self-diagnosis or not, these positions are just concretely untrue and have nothing to do with the scientific or clinical history of autism as recorded by sources with absolutely no connection to the neurodiversity movement or online autistic self-advocacy. Alright, so we game overed. Let's play we're just going to play a single round of Solar Striker, and we're going to call it a stream there. For those not familiar with Solar Striker, hopefully the cartridge works first time around. And, yay! Well, at least sometimes, yeah. This is a cooperation between Nintendo R&D 1 and Minakuchi Engineering. This is one of the few shoot-'em-ups ever to be developed either in part or co-developed by Nintendo. Yeah. Oh yeah. I have not played this game in about a year right now. I think it has been an actual year, a full-blown calendar year. Okay. Yeah. Oh. This is fun. This is fun. Okay. Now I got up to, I think, the 3rd stage. I think this has 4 large stages. I think I got up to the 4th stage, actually. I forgot how many stages this game has. Yeah, I got our first power up there. Yeah, this game is not especially hard, though I have yet to beat it myself. I never really, locked down and grinded at this game for an entire stream before. Someday I will, and at that point, if I ever sat down and, grinded this game for an entire stream, I'm sure I'd be able to beat it. Yeah, it is, and the thing is, this is such a strangely generic... I mean, for the backstory of my relationship with this game, I was at a pawn shop to actually borrow money. And when I went to go pay off my loan, I saw this game in there, and I used my returned money to purchase this game. And I was like, I never heard of this game before, but something about the cartridge art just looks so, generic that I found it charming. If that makes any sense. Oh, doggone! Yeah, we got sent a couple of stages back. It doesn't send us back to 0. It's a fairly merciful game in terms of power-ups. A lot of games will send you back to 0, make you restart the stage over. No, you get to continue the stage from where you were at, but you do get downgraded a couple of steps. Alright, we're almost up to where we were at before, I think. Yeah, I'm getting used to all these different enemy patterns. And so I'm like, this game's so generic, let me just go ahead and get this. So then, it's our first boss of this, yeah, this boss is, like Tatanga in Super Mario Land, you really only have to watch out for his bullets. He never, tries to, attack, the ship never actually comes down to attack you. So it's a very, sort of stress-free boss fight. You just watch the bullets. You don't even have to keep an eye on the boss itself. Later bosses will have things like ray shields and will actually move about on the screen. Yeah, but something about this just struck me as like even. Yeah, it's also like. What? Hey, yeah, I think the game glitched out. Why don't we quit out of the game? We'll give it another shot. Take the cartridge out, shake it a bit. Not gonna blow into it like a stinking hoodlum. But gonna drop that. Yeah, no, it is definitely this game is definitely a descendant, a relative of Gradius, of Space Invaders, and also then Gradius. You know, it's kind of like, you know, most of the games in the Stinger series are actually vertical scrollers. Stinger is unusual in that it has those horizontal scrolling levels as well. Yeah, if you don't know Stinger is a Famicom port, no, the NES port of a Japanese Twinbee game. Alright, there we go. There we go. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, it's about it's about time to get my alcohol and Q-tips out. And it's funny, I do have my alcohol and Q-tips out because I had to do oh doggone, I had to do first aid on myself. I forgot that you could just hold the fire button in this game. You don't actually have to keep pressing the fire button. Oh man, I'm not doing that good. You don't have to hold down the fire button. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to keep pressing it. You can hold it down. Now, I do have somewhere. I believe I have to get this out. I didn't get it ready. I have a high score document with all my high scores for different Game Boy games. But I don't have it handy. I'll have to go in the VOD and add in my scores. Alright. Yeah. Now we got... Yeah, this is probably going to be a lot easier now that I remembered you could just... And like the scrolling... The horizontal shmup stages in Super Mario Land, you actually have to keep pressing the button manually. In this one, you can just hold down the button. Now, this is... even the reviews, like the period reviews I could find of this game, say it's like nothing really to write home about. It's just like it's adequate, but it's nothing like particularly ambitious or amazing. Shit. Yeah, take out those little flying peanuts. We made it to the boss stage. Now, hopefully this time the second stage actually loads properly. If the second stage does not load, we're just gonna call the stream there. Man, I used up all my lives already, and I don't know if I yeah, I think I have, yeah, I'm on my last life already, because I took so many lives earlier, so many deaths earlier on in the stage. Oh yeah, this is way easier when I know I can just hold the button. Alright. Will the next stage load? Yay! It loaded! Okay. Yeah, when I first I plugged in this, the first time I played this game, it didn't, the first time whatsoever, it didn't load correctly, so but it loaded, it was weird. It loaded, the graphics weren't corrupted, but the game wasn't running, like you know, it's kind of sad. This is like I'm playing this game from 1989. Oh, doggone. And we crashed into the ocean, and Earth was doomed. And that's it for the stream, and that's it for Earth as well. Rip Earth. But I will be back on Saturday the 29th for some Pokemon. probably not too much magazine reading, though I will refer to my player's guide on stream, and I will start off with a little Pokemon Pinball. So, let's, yeah, I think we'll go ahead and call it there. I'll see you all next time, and thanks for watching.